of Congress, Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, usually draws the ire of Democrats, but now she's speaking out against some in her own party and coming out in favor of what Democrats demand to reopen the government, an extension of enhanced health care subsidies.
Congresswoman Greene, thank you for joining us here in the Situation Room. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start there. Let's start with the shutdown. So you voted for the short-term funding bill, but now you're talking about this health care issue. Help us better understand. Why now?
Well, actually, this is something I talked about when I first ran for Congress in 2020, because I grew up in a construction company family. Bought that company after college and retired my parents. And after the ACA was passed,
the Affordable Care Act.
Yes, the Affordable Care Act, our family's health insurance premium went from $800 a month to $2,400 a month. So I've known about this as a major problem for a long time. It's not just ACA recipients whose premiums are going to skyrocket very soon. It has been a disaster for many Americans across the board. And cost of living is so high now. Many of my constituents, many of my friends, and even my own children are finding health insurance to be extremely unaffordable and something that they are having to go without. So I think this is an incredibly important issue. I think it is a crisis. I don't think it's something to wear political party jerseys on. I think it's something that we have to address and fix.
And it's very personal for you.
Very personal. It's affected my own life. And the Affordable Care Act was passed in 2010. So we're 15 years down the.
So let's kind of recap here. So basically, what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that she's going to be affected by what's going on, by the high increase in healthcare costs, right? So I guess one thing to remember is, if these lawmakers, these politicians, if they're not feeling it at home, then to be honest, they don't really care if it's not affecting them or their family members. Where in this case, it's definitely affecting Marjorie Taylor Greene's children. So yeah, she is definitely going to speak about it because, hey, this is happening to me. So it's different than when it's happening to the people that put her in office, that voted for her. Then now, hey, you have to realize the effects of your own decisions or of your own party's decisions.
Road, and the industry has changed drastically. Many companies dropped out of the market. We've seen doctors stop having their own practices and become hospital employees. We now have to import doctors because we don't have enough. Healthcare has drastically changed, and I'm one of those that gets real tired of political drama when it's not actually solving a problem. And this is such a crisis that I'm willing to say, okay, everyone, we have to do something about this. It shouldn't be something that we dangle the American people or military pay or all of these things. We shouldn't be dangling them back and forth. We have to fix it.
What are you hearing from your constituents right now? And do you have any regrets about voting for that short-term continuing resolution, that spending bill?
Thank you for that question. Number one, I am a Republican, and I support the president. I was very vocal about I didn't want to vote for a CR. I want to pass our appropriations. That's our constitutional duty, and I want to bring that taxpayer dollars back to my district. I work hard on that, so that was important to me. But I support the president, and I voted for the CR. Number two, what am I hearing from my constituents? It's great. We track all the calls that come into my office. About 60% of the calls coming in right now are calls of support and saying, yes, health insurance is a crisis. They're telling us stories about how they're already paying $2,000 a month with $10,000 deductibles. I'm getting phone calls from people that are saying if the ACA tax credits expire, they aren't going to be able to have health insurance. They're going to have to drop it. But I'm hearing from people on both sides, people already on the ACA and people that are already getting crushed by high health insurance premiums.
I want to ask you about this.
Well, it's not going to get any cheaper. I mean, companies have already been sending out the increase, the possible increase if the Affordable Care Act credits expire. So she wouldn't be on here on CNN if it's not going to be, if she didn't see it as a problem in the future. So It's a good point.
New Washington Post poll. It shows that 47% of Americans believe that President Trump and the Republicans are mainly responsible for the shutdown. You see it here on the screen, compared to just 30% of Americans who blame Democrats. Of course, Republicans are the ones with the power. Do you agree with Americans in that poll that see the shutdown as your party's fault?
You know what? I don't think the shutdown is popular for either side. And so
You know, she didn't really answer the question outright, right? So I don't see, she doesn't see that the shutdown is a positive for both sides. Well, of course, she's not going to really answer that because it's her party. However, she's not going to blame the president. Watch who she blames for it, though. A member of her own
I
party.
see the shutdown completely different from maybe my party leadership. And I'm not putting the blame on the president. I'm actually putting the blame on the speaker and Leader Thune in the Senate. This should not be happening. And I don't think, look, as a member of Congress, we already have.
In my opinion, honestly, if this shutdown continues or if it doesn't end soon, then you know what, the politicians, they should have their pay either reduced by half or they should not get paid at all, because they're responsible for passing these government spending bills, these plans, in order to keep the government running, in order to keep people their paycheck coming in. So these politicians are getting a paycheck, but the regular people who are making less money than that, they get to suffer at the hands of politicians? No. I think that if the government shuts down, then the politicians should not be getting paid either. Point blank, period.
Have a low enough job approval rating. This shutdown is just going to drive everybody's approval rating that much lower.
But so you're putting the blame on the leadership of your party.
Absolutely. We control the House. We control the Senate. We have the White House. I've been vocal saying,
She made a good point there. You know, all those, she controls, the Republicans control all these branches or whatnot, I'm sorry. But they control that. And so it's their responsibility to pass the bill, regardless of them putting blame on the Democrats, right? So I'm glad that Marjorie Taylor Greene is here and she's acknowledging that it's her party's fault.
You can use the nuclear option in the Senate. This doesn't have to be a shutdown. But what we have to do is we have to work for the American people. And our country is so divided right now. We see it all the time in every single way. It's divided in what I would say very dangerous ways. And we saw that with the recent assassination of Charlie Kirk, which has upset so many people across the board. And look, when it comes to hearing from senior citizens or my own friends and neighbors and my own family members and people that voted for me, and they're just saying, Marjorie, we just really want somebody to do something about health insurance premiums. We really want our government and our leaders to actually focus on our country for a change and fix our problems. That is the message I constantly hear from my district, and I'm a representative. I don't have to be a cheerleader for my party. I have to represent my district because those are the people that hired me and sent me here. And I myself, I agree with them, and I'm pretty much over it's just drama constantly on TV. No offense, because you guys are on television, but that's all that we see in American politics now.
You know, there's reporting that President Trump, as you know, recently called at least 2 senior Republicans to ask, and I'm quoting now from these reports, what's going on with Marjorie, end quote. Have you talked to the president about this issue? It's obviously so personal.
Of course. Now, he's asking about what's going on with her, of course, because she disagrees with him. And of course, you know, the president, if you disagree with him, he's going to call you out. That's just who he is. So I'm sure she would have expected it. That's just who he is.
For you.
Well, you know, the president has my cell phone number, and he's called me many, many times. So if he wants
recently, how recent?
I don't get into that kind of details, but he knows how to call me, and he can ask me himself. But here's the deal. There's also this and I'm not blaming you guys, but there is a media narrative trying to say that I don't support the president. I absolutely support the president. I campaigned for him for years. But I'm also an action person, and I want my party to solve problems.
And you say he's not getting good advice, though. You told Manu Raju. What specifically?
Well, I don't think it's good advice that a government shutdown is going to help Republicans in the midterms. I don't agree with that. I also don't think it's good advice that Republicans ignoring the health insurance crisis is going to be good for midterms. I actually think that would be very bad for midterms. And I think that just not staying focused on America First policies is detrimental as well.
Yeah, and on that note, are you concerned about that the President Trump said he would lower?
The inflation crushed people in the past 4.5 years, and the costs have not come down. I myself can tell you my apartment here in Washington, D.C., the electricity bill is $100 more than it was last year, because you can look at your own bill and look at cost. Prices have not come down. That is a reality. People's wages have not gone up. That's another reality. And so Americans are continuing to have a very difficult time getting by. And I'll go a step further. I'm a mom. And so when it comes to what is affecting my adult children's lives, who are 22, 26, and 28, I'm going to be 1,000% fighting for them over any politician and any party. And I can tell you right now, that generation, they are barely making it, and they're very hopeless for their future.
So you're a mom first, a politician second.
That's right. I'm a mom first.
That's good to hear.
Good for her. That is good. That's good that she's fighting for, of course, first her kids and then supposedly the American people. But that's how it's supposed to be.